Hey everybody, welcome to EverydayFI, where we explore the lives of everyday people pursuing financial independence. I'm your host, Meghan Combs, and I'm here to show you that you do not need a $1 million book deal or a famous blog to reach FI early. By talking with real humans, I'll show you how you can forge your own path to financial freedom the everyday way. In today's episode, I'm joined by Rakesh, who shares his journey from growing up in India to building a life and career in the US. We explore his family's financial habits influenced by his father's banking career and Rakesh's own evolving understanding of money. We dive into his discovery of the financial independence movement in 2020, inspired by figures like Pete from Mr. Money Mustache and Carl from 1500 Days. Rakesh talks about the significant changes he has adopted, such as being more deliberate with savings and improving his and his family's health. We also discuss the unique challenges he faces, including those related to his immigration status. Finally, we touch on the importance of enjoying the journey rather than just the destination, and the mental peace that financial security really truly brings. Tune in to hear Rakesh's full story after a word from our sponsors. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Today, I have on the show Rakesh. Hey there. How about you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Megan, for having me. Yeah, I've been looking forward to it for a few weeks now. I know we had to schedule it much in advance. Thank you so much for having me. This is Rakesh Mishra here. I am 40-year-old and I'm married to my lovely wife, Unnati, for past 15 years or little more than 15 years now. But I have known her for past 18 years. I have two kids, 11 and 4, a boy and a girl. And I'm from India, on the east coast of India, not far from the beach. But while growing up, my father used to work in a bank, so we moved every 2 to 3 years. And I work in tech for past 18 and a half years. I started my career in India back in 2006. It feels like far away from today, like almost 19 years. And before moving to US towards the end of 2009, I worked in India and little bit in Belgium, London. Yeah, long time in tech.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we were just talking before we hit record about I'm having a fire quote at work, which I also work in tech. And it just makes me laugh when they say that because it's like, it's not a real fire. But so I had to ask Rakesh if he would mind me joining a little late to the call. And this is also a Friday evening, y'all, on Valentine's Day. I know this is coming out in May, but I told him in the email, I am so ready to FI because I'm so over this. And I knew you would understand because you work in tech. Okay, so you worked in India, Belgium, London, and then came to the US. And have you been in the US ever since 2009?
Yes.
Okay. And so what brought you here and what kept you here?
Yeah, I came through the H-1B visa program and through my employer. And since then, I have changed a couple of employers. And a little bit backstory is that I always wanted to come to US because my cousins were already here and I wanted to be like them. So when I was right out of college, I got a job, but I did not join it. I was just preparing for my master's to come to US. So you have to give some kind of GRE, GMAT, whatnot to come to US and some English exam as well. But I did not have a lot of money back then. So I had to take student loan, which my father did not like. And after 3 months, I was back to corporate world in India. And after 1.5 years, I started moving around different places like Belgium or London. And when I got my H-1B visa, my manager wanted me to come to US. But that time, 2008 happened. That year, I got my visa. So my travel to US was delayed for a year, which really helped me a lot because I got to spend more time with my then girlfriend and my now wife, and we could do a little bit of planning for our marriage and whatnot. yeah, it really helped me. And since I moved to US, my wife joined me a couple of months later. And we have been moving around the US as well because of tech job consulting. We lived in 6 different states in last 15 years. And some of the states we have lived twice in 2 different times, like Virginia and California. We have lived twice in 2 different times. That was really wild.
Yeah, I am also somebody who has moved around a lot. I've lived in only 5 states, though. I don't have you on the 6 states, and it's the whole of my life, which is 38 years. And I go back and forth on whether or not I'm glad I moved around a lot. Where do you land on that? Were you glad you moved a lot, or would you do it differently if you could have chosen?
When we were just like husband and wife, moving was a lot easier. And while growing up as well, I did not contribute to any of those. My parents used to take care of packing and moving. But yeah, we used to enjoy. Your landscape is changed, your neighborhood is changed. So you got to meet new people, you are going to new school. And because I was good in studies, so people would start recognize me. Hey, this guy is good in studies and whatnot. This guy is a nerd. So yeah, so those kind of things, I enjoyed it. But having kids, we have slowed down our movement because it's really hard to disturb their school or whatnot. The last time I moved, it was fall of 2021. We moved from California to Texas. So now I am in Dallas, and it's been more than 3 years, and we love it here.
Yeah, that's great. And it's nice to know that you guys took your kids into consideration when you moved, because I think that was what was so hard for me when I was a kid. And there was a year where there was actually multiple years where I went to multiple schools within the year. And it was a struggle just because I was always the new kid. So I really love that you guys are considering that for your kids. And why the move from California to Texas? Was that just for a job, or was it because you always wanted to live in Texas? Had you ever lived in Texas before?
Actually, I never visited Texas before I decided to live here. So you must be familiar with Playing with Fire by Rick Ottrekins. And
Yes.
I will get back to that story, yeah, how I started my fire journey. But when I read his book and I saw his movie Playing with Fire, and because he moved around to different cities to scout where he could live his fire life and design the best lifestyle that would suit him and his wife and toddler at that time. So I decided that California was getting way too expensive for us. And especially my wife took a break when I had my daughter back in 2020. And we were good because I work in tech, but we would move we'll just save 20-30% just in taxes or whatnot. So we decided to move from California to Texas. That was the main reason. I read his book, and within 6 months after, I was in Texas.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure it's amazing how much influence these people in the FI community have on us with our decisions in a good way, right? It's, oh, okay, I didn't even think that I could do something like that. And moving is one of those things that can really make a big difference when it comes to when you can become financially independent. But it's one of those things that's probably the highest barrier to entry because it's expensive to move. You're going to a new community, like you said, you have kids to consider, but it really is one of those incredibly effective methods of reaching FI. Brad Barrett, of course, did it too, moving from Long Island to Virginia. And I moved from New York City to North Carolina. I do laugh because my income has gone up, but so has my spending. I don't know how I was able to. I actually didn't spend that much money in New York. I didn't own any property, I think is probably the biggest thing. I mostly rented and lived in like a living room with a curtain. So I have a different lifestyle now. So that's probably the biggest part of it. Okay, so I'm curious. You already mentioned that your dad was a banker. And so I'd love to hear your money origin story and how your parents thought about money and things like that. So let's start with one of your earliest money memories.
Yes, as I told, my father worked in a bank for 38 years. Before that, he was a teacher and he was trying to become a lawyer, but he could not. But he worked in a bank for 38 years. So when I was young as 11 or 12 years old, my uncle and aunt used to visit us frequently. We were middle class and they were a bit upper middle class. And there were different stories I do not remember, but one story that stayed with me forever and it actually impacted me that once they're visiting our house and there is always a notebook where my parents used to write down all the expenses, and he accidentally found that notebook and browsed through it. I do not know why, but he said that he just casually joked about it that, hey, your monthly expenses are less than my telephone bill that I could spend in a month. Once they're gone, my parents were sad. My mom was actually crying. And when I was a kid, I was really close to my mom. And I started crying, looking at her, like, what happened? My two elder sisters, they were also worried. And they said that we have been mocked by them our whole life. And now you are getting to know it. So that had a long lasting impact on me. And that was my earliest memories that, hey, we do not have a lot of money. Probably we are poor.
Wow, that's really hard to hear and unfortunate that your uncle, correct?
Yes, my
Yeah.
father's elder brother. God bless him.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate that your uncle mocked your family for what they made when it's funny because my reaction was like, bravo, getting your expenses down that low, but that's the FI mindset, right? So I almost wish I could like pull that mindset out of my brain or your brain and give it to your father back then and your mother and be like, no, you guys are winning at life because you don't spend every dollar you have or every piece of money that you have, every rupee that you have. So I think that's funny that my reaction was different. So you said this affected you as you grew up. How can you give me some examples of where you've seen this influence in your life a little bit?
I will tell you like another story or incident. My father or mom would give me like $20 or $50 to spend in school. I could never spend that. So weeks, months, one semester would go by. I would never be able to spend that. It would be in my books somewhere and I would keep it. I was not able to spend money. And because I thought that I was so scared to spend money, and even if we go outside to a shopping complex with other friends or family, even before touching anything on the aisle, we would look at our parents for their facial expression. They could tell from their eyes that, sorry, we cannot afford that. So that had a long lasting impact on me. So I was always telling inside my heart, once I will have my own money, I could spend it all. Yeah, it impacted me in a negative way when I started earning money.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So when you started earning money, did you start spending it all?
Yes, I was telling that I was preparing to come to US to do my masters and I could not. Then I got back to searching job and finding another one, 3 months, 4 months. So I started working in November of 2006. And when I got my first paycheck, I was living far from my parents. Like India is also a big country like US. My father called me and said that because I have spent so and so money on your education, I need one third of your paycheck. It was like a kick in my gut because I was not expecting my father to ask me. He said, I also bought you a motorcycle and I spent money on your college because I did not take a student loan or anything. Though I could, I did not. My father sponsored my college. Most of the parents do back in India. So it was a kick in the gut, giving 30% of my paycheck to my father and rest of the money I was just blowing it away. So I was partying every weekend. Funny story is that I will always go back to like last week. of the month, I would go back to my girlfriend and ask her for money. Say, hey, can you lend me some money? I will get the paycheck
Was
on
this
first.
girlfriend your now wife?
Yes, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no.
yes, yeah. So she would always cuddle me and she'll, yeah, my money is your money. You can take it. Now seeing it back, if we did not end up together, then it would have been bad decision on her behalf. But I would always blow all the money back. But the twist to plot came when I was getting married back in 2009. And my father came to me and said that here is X amount of money back to you. I said, why are you giving this money? Because I had little bit of money going to London or Belgium. I had small pool of money. He said, no, this is the money you have been giving me. I have invested it in my bank and this is your money. And at that time, you won't believe it was almost twice or 2.5 times my annual salary. And I was surprised. He said that, okay, you can spend for your marriage, you can go on a honeymoon, buy furniture for your new apartment. Literally, I hugged my mom because I'm too afraid to hug my dad and hug my mom and literally started crying. I was shaking just by what I have seen their sacrifice all my life. So he was actually doing it for me when inside my mind I was not very happy that he's taking 30% of my paycheck. So yeah, it was kind of a happy ending.
Yeah, it's such a great story because it's like your dad was almost the villain in your
Yeah.
story. And then he's just kidding. I actually invested all of this and made you a ton of money. Here it is. Dude, I love your dad. He's awesome. I wish my parents had done that. Like, I was just talking to my mom the other day about one of my uncles makes a lot of money. He's a petroleum engineer. He's a very wealthy man. But he's incredibly stingy. If he gives you money, he dictates how he wants it spent. And he was like that with me when I graduated high school. He gave me quite a bit of money, at least to me, quite a bit. I think it was a couple, maybe $5,000 or something like that. And that was back in 2005. So that could be like 10,000 now, but he was expecting me to use that for college. He never actually said this, of course, but he expected that. And then I blew it on clothes and eating out and having fun with my friends. And my mom always blamed me for that. But I was like, Mom, I was 18. I was a child. I was a coddled, privileged white child. Like, of course I'm going to spend this money. Like, I didn't have the mindset of I don't have enough, I need to save this money. I didn't have that at all. And I told her, I wish you would have taken that money. I wish my uncle would have given that money to you to invest on my behalf rather than giving it directly to me. And yeah, bravo to your dad. And also love that he's okay, you can hate me, but just wait. So that brings me to, do you remember how your parents talked about money in the household with each other, with you? Do you remember conversations besides the one where he said they've continued to mock us for how much we make? Was there anything else that you remember?
Yeah, my parents, both of my, especially on my father's side, he's one of the 10 siblings. So they were really poor growing up. And my grandfather, I mean, he was a compounder, which is like assistant to a doctor who could do few things. So he was doing few things on the side. He could give medicine or an injection to a patient who visits and doctor is not there. So he could have some side income. But apart from that, they did not have any money growing up. So that passed on to my father's generation. And my father actually, from very young age, he started earning money, doing side hustles. And up until I was 15 years old, he was still helping his family, like for giving money for his sister's marriage, for his nephew's education, for his brother's education. He was always helping his family. And because of that, when I was growing up, my mom wanted my sisters and me to go to a better school. but my father could not afford it, sending us to better private schools because government schools in India can be little not very well organized. And so my mom wanted me to send to private schools where we could speak English. So I did not speak English probably until I was 18 years old. So I had English as a language, but I never spoke. I could read, write, but I never spoke. So she would always fight with my father that you are sacrificing our life for your family, but you are not getting much help from them, or they do not have gratitude towards you, which my father realized after he got retired. When he calmed down and looked back at his life, he thought that he felt that he did good, but he did not get much appreciation for his deeds towards his family. I'm good with that, but my mom was not happy. So there were little bit fights going over, especially for our education, where we could go. Yeah, my mom really wanted all of us to speak English.
Yeah, that's hard because it's like he's dedicating his money towards his family that he had growing up, but then he's also got you and your siblings and his wife who are also his family. So I could see both sides there. I could see how that could be challenging for him and then also challenging for your mom. Did your mom work or was she like a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah, my mom was stay-at-home mom, but she was really good in crafts and tailoring. I do not remember buying a shirt from outside. Either it was hand down from my cousins or my mom just made it, stitched it for us. So she was really good at it. So from my father to my sisters, her clothes, my clothes, she was always teaching. She was making us sweaters, hats, gloves, everything she did. So in a way, she helped a lot. She would even help our neighbors. They would give her some money, little bit money, not much, but she earned very little, but she never worked. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I am of the mind that money is not the only thing you bring to a marriage. That's just one aspect. And how much money did she save you guys over years by making your clothes? Clothes are expensive, especially for, kids and teenagers who grow like weeds and need new shoes and clothes every friggin' month, it seems. Yeah, so that's amazing. And so how many siblings do you have?
I have two sisters. They're older than me and they're married. They have their own life. They're happy. Yeah, I have three nephews. So my sisters, my parents also focused on their education too. So my sisters, even though they did not work much, but they're self-employed. My sister runs her own business as a travel agent, and she had her own company in Dubai. But few years back, she flew back to India so that my nephew could start getting serious about his studies. So she's back in India now, and she still runs that company, but she has two partners now. Yeah, so she's not doing everything on her own.
Yeah, that's impressive. So it makes me think the reason why I asked that is because I was thinking of your dad coming from a household of 10 siblings, and then your household had three. So I wonder if something was going through his mind about the decision he made to give money to them versus prioritizing you guys. Do you think there was anything there where he was like, my siblings came from a household of 10 and we were very poor. In our household, we're a little bit better off, so we don't need as much help. Do you think there was any of that in his mind that you might know of that you could think of?
And most of the kids back in India help their parents to retire because they have sacrificed so much taking care of their siblings, and they would look down to their kids to help them, help for their sister's marriage. All my sisters were married even before I started earning money. My father had only one goal, that concentrate on your studies. For all financial, I am not handing down that burden to you to look after your sisters or anything. So he said that it stops here. And I had my cousin living with us for 12 years because from my mom's side, one of my aunt passed away and my cousin started living with us for 12 years. So even if we were all out of the house, my mom and dad still looked after my cousin for 6 more years because they wanted to help my uncle. He never got remarried or whatnot. But yeah, my cousin is just like my sibling. So right now, even though my sisters were away from my parents for few years, now they're back and closer to my mom and dad. But I still live like 8,000 miles away. But my cousin is like my brother. So he's sometimes goes, looks after my mom and dad, which is really helpful.
Yeah, that is helpful. And again, your dad's the hero of this story, saying the buck stops here with that trend of taking care of your parents and your parents relying on you to retire them. I think that's amazing. It is a really great point, though, to bring up that here in America, there's a lot of different kind of cultures, right? But if you were born here, don't have immigrant parents, maybe you're of the Western European persuasion and your family's been here since the Revolutionary War. Hello, mine. That's not an expectation. The expectation is that your parents, while you might need to support them by choosing a facility for them to live in, you're usually using their assets to pay for it. That's the common theme. And at least it is for my family. It was the common theme because they said the same thing. They were like, we don't want our kids to have the burden of taking care of us. But it's interesting that other cultures see it as, no, that's just how it is. I know in South America, that's how it is as well. Like people, even families just live together forever for a really long time. And so I love that you brought in this diverse set of views and values. But I also think it's cool that your dad, you know what, I don't want you to have that kind of dependency or me to have that kind of dependency. So that's really great. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, I could ask you all day about your background. I'm so curious. I'm going to ask you one more question and then we can move on to how you found the FI movement. But you said that your family is all back in India and hanging out with your mom and dad and your cousin. Do you and your wife ever consider moving back?
Yeah, again, my parents are hero of this story as well. So we had long conversation about my father is 76 now, soon to be 76. He would turn 76 in April. And my mom is 66. So they're still in great health. God bless them. They're pretty much active in their social group. They travel a lot within India, and sometimes they would like to travel in big groups so that they can take care of each other. And I had long conversation before having kids. I said that if I'm having my children here, then it would be very unfair to them that they're US born and I would take them back to India once they're 5 or 6 years old. And I do not want to deprive them of this culture because I grew up in India. I know the pressure to be in top 1% or 5% so that you can get a job and do well in your life. I did not want my kids, but my parents were more stubborn that you would never come back to India. I want my grandchildren to be there in US. They're US born. They should be there. They should live their life. You should not be looking back. You should be moving forward. You can look back to take care of us and we can take care of ourselves. And we will let you know that when we need you. But if we are growing old, getting hospitalized, or we are having some kind of knee replacement, you do not have to come here. We have money to support ourselves. We can do that, but take care of our grandchildren. So my father, he's whatever property he has built over last 30, 40 years, he only thinks about his grandchildren. That this is not for my sisters or for me, it is only for their grandkids.
Yeah, that's amazing. Again, yeah, like you said, your parents are the heroes of this story. You have awesome parents. I hope they get to listen to this episode. If they even listen to podcasts, I don't know if they do, but cool. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing all of that story. And yeah, it was great to learn more about you. So I want to know about your journey to the financial independence movement. And one thing that I always like to ask people is, what drew you to FI specifically out of all the different kinds of personal finance movements and communities that are out there. Why did you come to this community?
Yeah, back in 2010, both my wife and I were here, and she reminded me that we were always good savers. When I talked to her about FI, she always reminded we are good savers. We always sent back money to India to buy real estate or buy commercial property, which would give us some kind of rental income because we are thinking to go back. So we thought of having some kind of side hustle or income so that it could support us if we do not work for some time. But we were thinking that we are traditional FI, or we would retire at traditional retirement age. So, okay, you will work until 65 like my father did until 60, which is retirement age in India. So we would do that, and then we will see, we'll go back to India or live somewhere. But I did not know the concept of financial independence until January of 2020. It was always good savers, but why we are saving and what we are doing with that saving, we had no idea.
Yeah, that makes sense. But at least you're flexing the muscle of saving. So you're already in the habit of doing it and creating those good habits. So what prompted you to join this community in January 2020? What happened?
Yeah. Before January 2020, my wife got pregnant with my daughter. Around November of 2019, we got to know, hey, we are going to have a daughter. And then we went to Hawaii on a big trip to celebrate. And when we got back, we both were earning and we are not spending. We are not homeowners. I did not know what to do with all the money we were earning. And I used to put YouTube on my TV when I am doing house chores. So it was just playing on a random weekend on January of 2020. I just happened to come across ChooseFI interview. Brad and Jonathan were speaking to Pete and Carl. And yeah, suddenly, thank God to YouTube's algorithm, I stumbled upon that and I just sat down to hear them few minutes. Who are these dudes in their late 30s, 40s talking about financial independence? What is actually financial independence? Is like getting a job is financial independence. Then I was talking to my wife. We did not have $100,000 in our account combined in the US. We had little bit of money back in India, but it was not in cash or investment. It was all in real estate. So I sat down and I started taking note. And then I dived deep into ChooseFI podcast. It was 2020. So they were already 3.5 years into podcasting. So there were a lot of episodes. And back in the day, they used to do 2 episodes per week. So there were a lot of episodes to go through, probably 300. I went through all and I read every page of Carl's 1500 days blog. And I could relate to Carl because I thought, hey, this guy started his FI journey in his mid 30s. He and Mindy have 2 girls. I'm going to have 2 kids. So I'm 35. So I'm about the same age. If he could do it in 1500 days, even I could do in 1500 days. So that kind of triggered. I found a lot of similarities. I was stressed out at work. He was stressed out. So many people in the FIRE community, they find Pete first and then others. Yeah, actually, I found them together, but I was able to connect with Carl's story. And yeah, I love Carl. I have met him few times since then. He's a wonderful person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And for anybody who doesn't know who Pete is, that's the founder of Mr. Money Mustache. Yeah, so we've got Carl, 1500 Days, who that's also Carl and Mindy from Bigger Pockets, right? Same Carl. Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's Brad Barrett, of course, of ChooseFI, and then Pete, I don't know his last name, from Mr. Money Mustache. So I'll put links to all of those resources, of course, in the show notes for anybody who wants to read Carl's 1500 Days blog. When I think about it, I'm like 1,500 days. I think I thought that's really long. And then when I looked at it, I think it's like what, 5 years or something? Not even. I don't even. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
four
not.
years and change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not long at all. And I was like, no, no, because I think I found the FI movement in February 2019. Yeah, it's been 6 years and I am not FI yet. So getting there. But yeah, so he's very inspiring. And that's awesome that you found that. I also try to track down that YouTube interview because that looks like fun. So if I find that, I'll put that in the show notes for you guys. So how close are you to financial independence and what do you want to do with your financial independence?
Yeah, my wife and I talk about it a lot. Our financial independence is not linked to a number, but to our immigration status. So we are 15 years living in the US, we have kids, but I still have work visa. I do not have a green card. So if I decide to stop working, then I need to go back to India, which my wife and I do not want at this stage of life because we have young kids. They would not be able to adjust growing up in India. And so, having said that, we are probably 50% into our FI journey. Last year, I was able to hit seven figure in my FI journey. And because we always have kids' education in our FI number, so that's why my FI number is a little bit different than others. And yes, we are 50% through it. I can stop working and be coast FI if I have a green card. Or I always joke with my wife, I love driving, so I could drive Uber. She says me, no, you won't be able to deal with people. So yeah. So our FI is basically an immigration status versus a number.
Yeah, that makes sense. And thank you for elaborating on that because I don't think a lot of people really understand that sometimes. But what does it take to get a green card for somebody who's from India? Are you on the list? Have you tried to do that? Is there like a waiting period? Can you go through that?
There is two types of green card, family-based green card and employment-based green card. And then there is diversity green cards through lottery. So I am on the employment visa category for green card. And there are different categories. I do not want to go into detail, but there are 140,000 visas that is given out every year. But India and China, there are a lot of students who come every year from India and China, and they spend a lot of money. I did not come here as a student, but there are a lot of working professionals also come from those two countries. And because we have restriction per country, how many visas we can give per country. So India is capped for 7,000 or 7% of 140,000. So for my visa category, that is EB1 and EB2 and EB3 visa category. So mine is EB2, so it is 3,000, roughly 3,000 each per category. So there are 6,000 visas given every year, but there are like million people waiting for it. So if you do the math, that's 200 years of waiting if you apply it today. But I applied it back in 2014. Like it's already been more than 10 years. So I'm little bit closer to getting my green card. When I say closer, it could be like 8 years to 10 years out from there. I always joke with my son that, hey, we are relying on you when you get to 21, get a job as soon as possible so you can sponsor your parents to get green card. So yeah.
That's funny. And so are you signed up for that lottery that they give out?
I cannot. My employer applied for my green card back in 2014 in EB2 visa category. And there are like priority dates assigned. So my priority date is December of 2014. But the priority date, which is current, is December of 2012. So they're still giving out visas to people who applied in December of 2012. And that number goes back and forth depending on how many visas are available. So during COVID, there were a lot of restrictions for travel. So some of the family visas spilled into employment visa so that you got a little bit faster. But once the travel restrictions were lifted, then the dates went back. So it kinds of goes back and forth because I'm probably 8 to 10 years away. I used to look into it a lot, do a little bit analysis, this, that, but I don't care anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it makes me curious, like you said, your FI status is tied to a job, because the minute that you quit your job, you would have to return to India unless you had this green card. And right now we can see that it's going to take a while to get a green card. As you said, if somebody applied for that today, it would take 200 years for somebody from India or China. And just to give people context on how hard it is to become a citizen, by the way, or not, this isn't even a citizen, this is a green card. I'm curious why you're going for FI at all. Like, what keeps you on the path to, because I'm thinking, like, if your son is 11, is it your son who's 11? Yeah.
Yes.
Your son is 11, and in 10 years at 21, he could sponsor you. So in 10 years, you'll be 50. So I guess that is to an early retirement. Is that kind of where your head was at when you were thinking about this? Is that once unless that really was just a joke that he can't actually do that. I guess I'm just trying to understand, like, why bother? Why bother if you have to work to stay in this country?
There are many things that could happen. Like tomorrow I can lose my job and involuntarily I have to travel back to India. And then I have to rethink. And if my son is 18 or 19, I have to send him to US or Europe or some other country for studies. Then I have to think something for my daughter as well. And I have seen through last 5 years, there were many changes within our household, like how we used to think of money versus now. So it could help you in other ways. Even if you cannot retire, you are restricted to retire, but sometimes money will give you confidence in life. And those who are saying that money cannot give happiness, I partially agree with them, but it can actually help you sleep better at night. So you are not thinking about driving an old car and breaking down in middle of 405 in California. That would be a nightmare. Suddenly your laptop is not working. Your son wants to go on a school trip that costs $500. You are not thinking about these small expenses. So that gives a lot of freedom. So when you have money in your bank account, you look at life very differently. So when you go to a restaurant, you do not worry about entertaining your friends. Hey, like I want to just go and spend money on my friends because they're really nice to me. We have been friends for 10 years and he's visiting me after a couple of years. We are meeting. I do not want to get worried about the check that I get. So these kind of things give a lot of confidence, plus any kind of health concern that we might have. So we have a scare last year in our family where we detected that my mother-in-law, she has cancer. She is on stage 4. We were not visiting India very frequently because I have to manage my schedule with my wife. We both should get time off at the same time. Then India in summer is too hot, so we do not want to travel in summer. But now we are looking at things a bit differently. Okay, she has X number of years going forward. We want to go and see her every year rather than every few years. Yeah, a lot of things changes when you have money on your side.
Yeah. And thank you for answering that way. I asked the question as a devil's advocate because a lot of people say that. They're like, I like my job. Why should I try to do financial independence? I don't need to. I have a job. But that's where people are getting stuck on the RE part of it, the retire early. And it's not just about retiring or quitting your job. It is about you look at life differently. Like you said, life becomes something so much richer, excuse the pun, because you are richer. And so it's something that That's why I asked the question, and you answered it exactly how I knew you would probably answer it. So thank you for doing that. I do want to go back. You said that there were some changes that happened in your family the last few years when it came to money. What are some of those?
Yeah, before I found FI, I would spend, after saving 10, 20%, whatever, my wife and I would spend everything. My wife does not know where I spend money. Like we would have Amazon boxes sitting at our doorstep. The money would just go aimlessly. Now we can target those money to go into things which we like. I will give you an example that my wife and I always struggled with our weight. So we are slightly overweight. When we came to US, we were perfectly fine, but we lived in places where it was really cold. We could not go outside for walk, and our food patterns, our eating habits changed, and we suddenly started gaining weight. So earlier we could just watch some YouTube videos to drink some green smoothies or whatnot. Now we are way past that. When now we have money. Last year we had a nutritionist, and she is actually helping us to eat better, sleep better. We have apps like Calm, or there used to be another one, but we love Calm so much we are not thinking about any other app. So we use those apps. We have subscriptions. We have subscription to calorie tracker or whatnot. I would not spend money on any app that is paid on App Store. So everything I used to do free. So that changed. And right after my daughter was born, I always complained to my wife, you are very talented. You could draw something in 5 minutes. I could not draw such things. You can sing really well. I do not have any talent. So I want to do something on my own. So she said, why don't you start something, go to gym or do something? I said, yeah, I could start running. I was a sprinter in school, so I could start running. So October 2020, I started running. I registered for Los Angeles Marathon that got postponed because of COVID or whatnot. I gave myself 6 months. Then I started running every day, and I got into buying different kind of shoes with a lot of technical stuff behind it. I got into nutrition for running gears. So I spend a lot of money without even thinking. Earlier, I cannot spend. I can spend on video games, but not on running gears or shoes. Now I have probably 15 pairs of shoes. I do not even, I think, or blink twice buying them. So far, I have run 9 marathons in 6 different states and 12 half marathons, also in 5 or 6 different states. Running costs money. I have a running coach. I have these travel expenses related to running, this, that, because I love running so much, I do not think twice. And if I were not on my financial independence journey, I don't think I could spend freely on running. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of
Well,
long answer. Sorry.
no, it wasn't. No, I was going to make the point that you're spending money now on this nutritionist and running coach, but you're probably saving money on the back end because you're not going to have all these high medical bills because you're getting all healthy and stuff. So, bravo. I hate running. I've tried. I try. I'll do it on the treadmill every once in a while, but yeah, I can never get into it. So, I applaud you for doing that. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Okay, this is the last question for the FI part of it, and then we can move on to your struggles and your wins of today. So what is your strategy for reaching financial independence? Are you stock market, real estate? Do you have a side business? Do you have something else that you're doing?
Yeah, being on work visa, I cannot do any side hustles. I rely completely, I mean, my wife and I, completely rely on our W-2 jobs. And I have few real estate back in India. My father is looking after it. But as soon as my parents raise their hands that they're old enough not to take care of those properties, I am going to sell them because I cannot manage it from here. And though my cousins are nice to help, but they have family duties as well. So I do not want to be rude to them. And I'm pretty old school. Eat Mr. Money Mustache and JL Collins, old school VTSX and chill. Yeah, most of our investments are in index funds. Like many others, I dipped into little bit. Probably 1% of my net worth is in individual stocks just for experimenting. But I bought those shares within my Roth 401k. Actually, not mine, my wife's. She had little bit money in Nvidia and Tesla. That grew so much we did not know what to do. We sold them and moved back to index fund when we thought that, oh, I do not think it can grow anymore. And yeah, but we are pretty much old school VTSX and chill.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did that change from what you did prior to finding the financial independence movement? Did you have a different type of strategy before then, or had you already found index funds?
Funny story is I used to work for an insurance company. Now they're a big name now. Everybody uses their products, especially in financial independence community, using their product for net worth calculating and whatnot. I used to work for them and I had 401k probably at that time. But apart from 401k, I used to see Roth IRA. We are actually building a portal so that somebody could buy these individual IRAs from the portal. And it was right in front of my face, but I never researched it. I was in the tech world and I was thinking, yeah, there's some features. We need to have these products available in the market so that we could use it. I never thought that I can also use it. I can educate myself. Yeah, but it never happened. Yeah, all my money that I saved, little bit, was in my 401k, or I bought a nice, luxurious apartment for my parents because we are far from them. And in India, security can be a concern. So we bought a nice apartment where it is secure. There are like security guards everywhere. There is like a clinic. There are doctors in the campus. So we spent a little bit money there before we found FI. And I'm very risk averse, and I all my life I never had debt. I had little bit credit card debt. If you want, I can share it later. But I'm always risk averse. Buying any real estate, I never took mortgage from bank. I was always saving it ahead and then buying it. So I did that.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Cool. So we are getting towards the end. And I always like to ask everybody what their current struggles and current wins are in life, because I feel like I want everybody to kind of form connection with what we're going through right now, whether it's something awesome or not so awesome. So let's start with any struggles or challenges you're going through right now. And yeah, let me re-say that. Let's start with any struggles or challenges you're going through right now, so then we can end on your wins.
Yeah, struggles on the financial part, we have figured it out. And earlier we went really aggressive when we found FI. We were saving like 50%, 60%. Then we changed our jobs. Then we are saving that much, but percentage of our take home has reduced like 30, 35%. So we are really happy in that space. Earlier we are going like hitting the gas pedal to the floor as much as, so that was a struggle for some time, but we have overcome that. And then I told a little bit about our struggle with our physical health. Though it is from outside, I'm running this, that. I had always blood markers like cholesterol, this, that is always high. Never diabetic, but I do not want to be diabetic as well because on my mother's side, they are diabetic. So I have to be careful on that. And I still have some kind of struggle on spending. Many people in FIRE community, they accumulate a lot, but they have struggled to spend. I do not have that problem. I have the opposite problem.
Yeah,
that
me too.
I can spend a lot. Like if I hear like somebody went to, I do not know, Tabora in Pacific Island, I want to go there. I could spend $20,000 in next 2 hours figuring out anything and everything and book a trip for us. I do not have any problem in spending, but that can be a challenge because you have to spread that cost across several months. And I do not want to carry $20,000 credit card debt. Having said that, we are going to Hawaii next month and I planned it way ahead, but I spent $8,000 like just on hotels and air tickets because traveling from Dallas could be very expensive. And yeah, so that is my struggle. And the last one I would mention is that probably some of the guests have already mentioned you taking care of kids as well as aging parents, sandwiched generation. So, I mean, though my parents do not want us to take care of them, they can do on their own, but it's always back of our mind to help them in case. We always have our passports updated, my kids' visa to India updated so that in case of emergency, we have to travel immediately. So those are few of my current struggles. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'm with you on the spending. I'm very good at spending. And it's the travel for me too. It's not like I'm sitting here buying a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
I love travel. I'm traveling probably, I was going to be traveling 4 times this year. Now it's down to 3, but 2 of them are international. So it's a lot. And I'm also getting married this year, including a party. Like we're doing the legal ceremony in a week and a half and then the party in November. And that costs money. But it's funny because my co-host Mitch is also, I believe, going to Hawaii soon. Either that or he just came back from it. But I'm going to reach out to him and ask him when he's going because that would be hilarious if you guys are going at the same time. And then I can be like, you guys should look each other up if you're staying at the same place. Yeah, I'll get your actual dates from you once we stop recording, and then I'll text Mitch and see if y'all are. Maybe I can get you guys together or something in person. That would be fun.
Yeah. Congratulations on your marriage.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I heard you saying that you were going to start a family soon. Yeah.
We hope so. Yeah. We hope so.
Yes. All the best. Yeah. It's going to be a fun ride.
Yes. Yeah. And I understand a little bit the sandwich generation. I am 38 and we're just starting a family. So I'm going to be a much older parent than probably that's traditional. But my father is also 77, and health wise, him and his wife, which is my stepmother, are mostly okay. And I say mostly because physically they're actually great. His doctor said that he had the body of a 50-year-old, which is incredible. But he is suffering from anxiety and depression right now with kind of the state of our country and the last election. And he lives in East Texas. He lives in Tyler, so not too far from you, about 2.5 hours. And I think he feels isolated there as well. And I have tried to convince him to move out of that state somewhere where there's more family around, either here to North Carolina or down to Houston, where more of our family are, or down to Austin. But I don't think they can afford it because they are living off of Social Security mainly and Medicare. So it's hard because I know I'm not going to have the financial resources to help him. I'll be able to help him physically, mentally, emotionally, but I'm not going to be able to help financially because of all the expenses that are going to come with this child, because we're going to have to do an IVF donor egg journey, which is a lot of money. Again, I'm not going to go into the details there, but it's between $25,000 and $30,000. And so that in and of itself is just, it prevents me from helping him. But then on the other side, I have my mom who's got everything taken care of. So I get it being in that sandwich. I haven't fully lived it yet, the same level as like Alan from episode, I believe that was 41, I want to say. I'll link that in the show notes. But yeah, so I'm there with you. So what are your current wins right now in your life? Let's end on a high note here.
Yeah, especially the mental state of mind. I'm in much better place. I moved from California to Texas, and since then mostly I'm like 90% of the time I'm working from home. My wife also works from home. We do not have to travel. Yeah. be on the road, be angry all the time. It can be really hard driving in Dallas or any other big city, not to blame Dallas drivers. Yeah, but any big city, there are problems. And yeah, we are in a great state of mind. We are really positive. We are able to drop our kids in the morning, and sometimes even on the weekdays after dropping them at school, we are going for breakfast. That was a dream come true, right? You could never go for a breakfast with your partner in middle of the week. Like we just did that yesterday. Yeah, she was having a rough day at work, so next day morning after dropping kids at school, I said, yeah, why don't we talk about it when we are having your favorite blueberry pancake with maple syrup. Oh yeah, those are fun conversation, fun times. We are both in our 40s, so we are thinking about our health a lot so that we do not want to be rich but immovable. So you might have seen maybe Instagram. I scroll through Instagram a lot. I'm trying to control it, but you might have seen an older gentleman getting out of his Lamborghini. He could not get out but crawl out of the car. So we do not want to be that person. We want to be rich. We want to be rich, but with great health. And we are doing a lot of improvement. And as I told you recently on financial side, if you would pinch me and slap me, say that, Kish, you are saving six figures every year, that is a foreign concept to me because I came from a family who has very little money. If we would eat in a restaurant, I did not go to a restaurant until I was in 10th or 11th grade. So my sisters were already out of the college. We never been to any good restaurant where you have to sit down and the server comes to you in a tie. We had never done that until I was in 10th or 11th grade. Yeah, my father bought a car for the first time and then he gave us a party. We are very thankful that we can go to any restaurants we can want to. And financially, yeah, if you slap me, I would wake up from my sleep and say that, yes, we reached seven figure. But yeah, the tailwind of the market in last 5 years helped us a lot with our savings. We are really grateful. And we are just, apart from what is going on outside of the world, we are really happy within our family. And yeah, we really love our neighborhood. We love our friends coming in, try Indian street food. My wife and I would cook them off Indian street food, and just looking at their facial expression, it just blows our mind. Oh, really, if I would invite my Indian neighbor, he would not be that happy because that's everyday food for him. So if we call our American friends here, they love our food. Just a quick story I'm sharing. I went to Carl and Mindy's house back in, we attended Campfire Rocky Mountains week 1, 2023. That was our first campfire. And then we went to meet Carl's family and he invited us for 4th of July. And I said, why don't my wife and I come to your kitchen and cook? We cooked for 20, 30 people and they were loving it. My dream is that, okay, I can go to Longmont probably during summers to meet my friends or live there in summers and cook parties for my friends.
That sounds like so much fun. I love Longmont, Colorado, which, if anybody doesn't know, that's where Pete from Mr. Money Mustache lives still, I think. And so there's definitely a FI community there. And I have been dreaming about going to Campfire Rocky Mountain, which is in Colorado, because there's 2 weeks and it just sounds like the most fun campfire. No hate on the others. They're all really fun. And actually, I'm going to the one in Spain, so that's probably going to kick Rocky Mountain's butt. But still, I still want to go because it looks like so much fun. And I love the mountains. I love the Rockies so much. Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I was just thinking, I love how Americans, we do not have a food that we could go to like India and cook for you and you'd be like, this is great. Like, we don't have anything like that. So it's burgers and fries. I don't know. That's probably not even American, really.
No, my kids love that. Love, we cook Indian food. most of the time at home, but they need burger, fries, or whatnot. They love American food.
Yeah, it's very lovable because it's fat and sugar and it's just amazing. And when you said you moved to America and gained weight, I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. It's our cuisine.
Yeah, because I'm vegetarian. I remember the first month, not even week, there was a Burger King. I was walking to that Burger King. It was in the office parking lot or a little bit far away, back in Richmond, Virginia. I ate BK Veggie Burger because I'm vegetarian. I ate BK Veggie Burger for a month, and it's been 15 years. I have never stepped into a Burger King.
Yeah,
No.
and people think veggie burgers, oh, it's a veggie burger, it's healthier. No, yeah, you're not getting the red meat, but it's still a lot of fat, a lot of salt.
Yeah.
Because I get the Impossible Whopper because I'm also vegetarian. So yeah, it's so fattening. And I also want to make a comment about the guy on Instagram who's the old man getting out of the Lamborghini. There's this, I think it's a question that's supposed to prompt you to think through something, but it's, would you rather be 80 and have $1 billion, or would you rather be 25 and have $0? And I feel like 9 times out of 10, people are going to say 25.
Yeah.
I would want to be 25 again because you can always make that money back, but you can never get your time back. It's so important. I know there are 80-year-olds who are very healthy, of course, but health and vitality is really what's important. It's not the money. And so that's why I love that you have 15 pairs of different running shoes. It's promoting the health and vitality. Awesome. So we are almost at the end of our time, but before I let you go, I have to promise the community a life hack recommendation or learning from you that you have not shared with us yet.
Yeah, I mean, I always being in this journey, and I told that 1500 days, and even Carl has mentioned it few times that he would have done it other way than how he did Fast and Furious. So I'm more like a slow and curious fight now. So I want to enjoy the journey. If you have learned financial independence this year, you can dive all in, but do not compromise on your relationships, your family. If your spouse or kids like something, do not cut it off. Please have that in your mind when you are pursuing this journey, because you do not want to be the richest man in your family and be alone, right? At the end of the road, you want somebody with you to celebrate that. Yeah, while driving on a highway, there is called white line fever or highway hypnosis. Have you heard about that? So you would drive from your work to your home, but you would not remember how you reached your home. And it used to happen.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I've never heard that term before. Yeah.
Yeah. So do not have that white line fever. So remember the journey with everyone. Yeah, money, if you are working hard, you have few financial concept apart from 4 or 5 bullet points. There is nothing to figure out in financial independence. You just have to keep at it. But life is whole another game. So enjoy your journey and do not have white line fever.
Yeah, great advice. It's almost live outside your spreadsheet. Life happens outside the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Rakesh. How can people reach you if they'd like to learn more?
Yeah, actually, my friend and Jackie Kominskowski, they have Catching Up to 5 podcast, and they have a Facebook group. I am very active on that Facebook. Recently, I am honored to be a moderator on their Facebook page, Facebook group. I am really active on that Facebook group and Mile Hi-Fi Facebook group. I used to be active on Twitter, X, but I have slowed it down in last 6 months. But I still scroll sometimes if there are interesting stuff, or I want to connect with a friend, which I have been for last 4 or 5 years with them. So my Twitter or X handle is Mind Speaks Fi. Mind, MIND, Speaks Fi, FI.
Great. Awesome. I will link that in the show notes, and I'll link all those Facebook groups as well. Thank you so much for being here, Rakesh. This was an amazing conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Everyday Fi podcast. If you're loving this show, here are some things you can do. Number 1, subscribe in your favorite podcast player and share the show with your friends and family. You can also find us on YouTube now. Some of the videos actually have our faces. Number 2, please leave a review. I am always looking for ways to improve the show. Number 3, check out my website, EverydayFI.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and leave comments for myself and the guests. Number 4, if you're interested in sharing your own financial independence story and connecting with other community members, you can find a submission form at EverydayFI.com/podcast. And lastly, number 5, join my Patreon membership for only $5 a month at patreon.com/EverydayFi podcast. This is a one-woman show, so every little bit of support really helps. See you next time as we continue to go down the path to financial freedom.